Oh, just pulled the whole mic off. Oh, that's probably not the start I wanted. What's up, everyone? It's Tate Harris here from the O Show, and as always, with us is Cody Wall. You can follow us both on Twitter. You can follow me at Tate Harris9 and follow Cody at CodyWall62. We always love shouting out our Twitters. Cody, how was your week off? No podcasts technically this week, although we came out with one on Saturday, so it'll be like a week and 2 days since a podcast. But how was your week off? Did you enjoy it?
I've been doing, I guess, in a sense, I've still been doing hockey-related stuff because we both joined Tarps Off Hockey, and they just launched, so I'm working there as an editor or helping out as an editor right now. So that's been a thing because it's just three of us that are editing, and it's kind of weird hours, so I'm doing a lot of edits right now. But other than that, it's pretty good.
That's good. Yeah, it's nice to be involved in something that's starting out like Tarps Off Hockey, where you have people that are dedicated. You know, like these guys want to succeed, and they want the people that are with them to succeed as well. I know I still owe them a bunch of designs, and I've kind of been slacking because, as you mentioned on the last podcast, I got a promotion, and there's like a million things I've been doing. So it was a stressful week for me. So I'm kind of glad we had a little break.
Yeah, in a sense, it was very little. Like you said, it was only 9 days. It's not like we took that long off.
And we also did a live stream for like 40 minutes, although 10 minutes of there I kicked you off to interview Colin Ward, which he was pretty fired up, is not as fired up as I wanted him to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah. He was pretty accepting it. Like he said it sucks, but like he didn't really complain about it all that much.
Well, I've seen him tweet that it's a joke, and I've seen a lot of people tweet how much of a joke. We'll get into it in a bit here near the end of the podcast. As always, we talk about the NHL news at the end. You guys probably noticed, those that are watching the video podcast, I'm wearing a Windsor Spitfires Memorial Cup Champions hat. I did get done golfing. I mean, other people were golfing. I was kind of there trying to hit the ball. So that's what I was doing. I wanted to keep the hat on, though, specifically for the reason the U17 camp roster was released, and it features a bunch. Well, they're all picks from the most recent OHL draft. Majority of the players have committed. Not all of them, though, which is fine. But not one Windsor Spitfire draft pick was invited to this camp roster, and they even supposedly, I put a B in there for some reason. They drafted the best goalie, yet he didn't get invited to the camp. Like, are you worried if you're the Windsor Spitfires right now?
I mean, it's not a great look when you consider there's multiple teams on there that have like 3 or 4. Some even London has 6. Like when you can't, like you don't even have one player representing your thing. There's 49 players that were invited, and you couldn't get one.
And like, we reached like a Spitfire person we were talking to within the organization. I'm sure most people know who. He said, "Well, hold up. Their first round pick was American, you know, but 49 players.
Yeah,
that's into the third round."
Yeah, there's enough for every team to have 2 players plus a little extra on the side. I mean, they couldn't get one.
Yeah. Like, it just, honestly, and like you said, with London having 6 is crazy, right?
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's London. And when you think of, like, just of any team you expect to have that many players representing them, London would be the choice.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, some of the later picks that London has done, not all those players have committed, like Isaiah George, who... Well, actually, they've all committed except Isaiah George specifically, who's supposed to go over or play, tier 2 or junior B because he wants to go the NCAA route. So you have a player like that who counts for London, but may eventually not be a part of London, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like I guess that's how you boost. Like it looks like a lot of players, but like not everyone who was invited is necessarily gonna attend. So in that sense, I guess it because like Adam Fantilli is on that list, and like, do you think he shows up?
Shows up to the camp or to the OHL?
Well, for both.
Well,
I
guess it's a virtual camp, but yeah, he's going to show up because just because you're playing in the USHL doesn't mean you won't play, like, represent your country.
Yeah, I'm talking about the OHL and being like, that's why he's representing that team. Like they have his logo next to the team.
Yeah, like I guess technically they hold his right still, and obviously the season hasn't started, and he could, just because he plays in the USHL this year, doesn't mean the next year he might not come. He might come to Saginaw. I guess we really don't know. So they can kind of get away with it now, although it would be weird once games start to be played if you've seen a Saginaw logo beside his name.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying in the sense that like not just because they have like, for example, one team has 3 players representing for them, that doesn't mean those 3 players are going to play for that team.
Yeah, that's fair. And especially not all these guys will even play in the O next year, like it's going to be weird to see kind of how they break the camp down if they do have the U17s next year, how it all kind of works, because this is just a virtual invite right now, kind of a, hey, you know what, you're on our radar. Just kind of a heads up, I guess, for these players to be ready for that or have some recognition, I guess, as well.
Yeah, I'm interested to see like how many players who get invited to camps when they're under 17 continue to be invited to camp, and how many is just this and then they kind of never get another shot or never get another chance to represent because they kind of fall off.
Well, the interesting part about the U17s is other countries send their teams, where Canada's split up, Ontario, West, I think, do they have an East in Quebec? I can't remember how that specifically works. There might be. We'll have to look it up. U17 hockey Canada. Well, here's the schedule and scores. Pre-tournament schedule. This should tell me, right?
Yeah, it should. What are you on their official site?
Yeah. So you got Canada black, Canada red, Canada white. So 3 teams. So that makes sense. But I always find it weird. I don't know about you, Cody, that they have these 3 teams, all 3 compete, yet later, when Canada has 1 team, you think they would be dominant over these other teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you're getting the best of every team.
Yeah, you're getting the best of every team at, say, like the U18s.
I don't know. Maybe something is true to the fact that like players who are used to playing a certain role can't adapt to playing a lesser role. Like maybe if you're the go-to guy on your team and you're a third liner on Team Canada, you just can't adapt to fitting that style or that role.
Well, I also think the development process is different because you can have a U18 player, like when you start getting older, a U18 player in Finland or Sweden who's already played against men.
Yeah.
And it helps their development. They get used. So when they play against their peer level, it is kind of different. It levels the playing field, I guess. I mean, there's probably so many different reasons of why that is. And like, that's why, I don't know, junior hockey is in a weird spot right now in Canada.
Yeah, it's a very weird spot right now.
Like, obviously, with the allegations that we talked about last week, some people are saying kind of abolish the league, start over, find a new system. And there's been a lot of arguments of late in the last few drafts. So, like, look at how few Canadians are going higher or struggle to make it in the NHL, end up being busts. Although this year we're going to see a lot of OHL guys get drafted. But Do you think something needs to change as far as the development side, separate to what's going on? I guess on the mental side and the abuse side, I guess.
I don't know, like, because I don't know how much of it is Canada's development has lessened it over the past few years, and how much of it is just the rest of the world has gotten better at it. And like, because like 20 years ago, you weren't seeing all these guys coming out of Finland and all these other, like, Sweden and stuff like that. And now it seems like every draft there's at least one guy, normally more than one guy, that is expected to go in the top 10 from Sweden or Finland or something. Like, it seems like every year there's a few of them. So I don't know how much of it has to do with Canada's development side. I think the rest of the world is just catching up to Canada.
I agree, but I also think I really like this, like, promotional thing they have going on where you get promoted through the ranks through a U17, a U18 league, or a U20, and it doesn't matter how old you are, you can play up in those leagues, maybe a men's league. Like, we've talked about guys getting hurt in development by not being able to play in the AHL and stuff like that. So maybe it is something that's going to get revisited. I wonder, and it would take someone rich, like I'm talking filthy rich, to come in and try to start their own league. Like, we've seen tier 2 junior A hockey here locally, the Windsor Aces and Kingsville Kings, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen the GMHL, kind of that outlaw league, try to be something, but it's nowhere near on the level of an OHL. So it would take a lot of money, but don't be surprised if eventually someone tries to do it. And obviously, you're not backed by Hockey Canada. That's the other hurdle you would have to get over. But I wouldn't be surprised if some people are looking at changing things up.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I also I wouldn't mind seeing more bigger names from Canada not choosing college or the OHL and going overseas to play in the men's league. I mean, Matthews isn't Canadian, but he did that and went overseas. And I think if you got it would just have to be a trend. Like, a couple big guys go over there the same year and decide, hey, we're going to play men's hockey, make a couple $100,000 this year, and then start our pro careers. I think if the more you see it happen, the more it's going to just become a normal thing. And I think that will help. Maybe that will help on the development side.
It's just these guys are so worried about their draft stock dropping because they're not being seen as much. Like, because we've seen players come over, like you take a look at Jan Mysak come over from the Czech and kind of tear it up with Hamilton, and all of a sudden his draft stock rises, or Chromiak with Kingston. Like, these guys come over and their draft stock rises. So there's probably that fear that, okay, like, take a look at Quentin Byfield right now falling. If next year he decides to go overseas, he might be viewed differently by a lot of people if he went this year and he put up big numbers in a men's league, maybe he'd be viewed differently. Maybe he would have performed better at, say, the World Juniors, because he would be used to playing, older players, I guess.
Well, I just think, like, the draft stock thing, because I think it really would benefit the best, like, the really high-end players going over there. And I think if you're that good, you're not going to fall, because normally you see those top guys, the ones, like, the name that always pops in my head is Jacob Chichern, who, like, got to the point where, like, instead of being value or not being seen enough, being seen too much hurt his value. So, like, those guys that are already at the top end of the draft, if you can go over and they're not picking out every detail of your game, maybe that might be good for your development as well.
Well, you take a look at Lafreniere. He already played 2 years in the queue. He would have been the perfect guy to go over to Europe, play a season there, and tear it up, most likely, similar to what Matthews did because of their birthday. He would have been fantastic to do that, but I just can't see a Canadian player especially. I can see an American player doing it. We saw it with Austin Matthews. It's just the politics in Hockey Canada.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things, because would they say no to Lafreniere? I doubt it, but there's so much talent here. They could have won the World Juniors without him.
Yeah.
Like, I hate
Yeah, he
saying
was
that
their-
because he was a big part of it,
He
but
was their best player. But,
yeah, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
replaceable to a certain point, but obviously it's not like the team would have just fell off without him. It's not like they wouldn't have a shot.
No, like because you're gonna replace him with another skilled hockey player that just didn't make the team, and like yeah, I won't be the same player, but you have enough depth that you should be able to overcome it. I don't know, could you imagine if like a Shane Wright decided and like I'm not gonna play in the O, I'm gonna go overseas? That would I think that would change the culture completely.
It would have to take a player like that, and like I remember when it happened with Austin Matthews, and he does go first overall. You take a look at the numbers he put up in Europe were fantastic. Like honestly, he was kind of underrated in that draft of what he could be and what he is today. Yeah, no one really knew. But I thought a lot more people would do it.
Yeah.
Like when that happened, you thought a lot more people would do it. But who's the prospect? I'm forgetting their name now, and they signed in Jokerit, and it didn't work out. They really didn't get the ice time instead of going play in the AHL. Who was it? You know what I'm talking about? I think it might have been a Leaf prospect.
Leaf prospect that went overseas?
Let me see.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like I'm trying to think of like. So were they coming from the O, and then instead of going to the A, they went overseas?
Yeah.
And it was I know Ollie Levy went overseas instead of going back to London, but I can't think of anyone that went from the O or went to the overseas instead of playing in the A.
Let's see. I will find this person. Whoa.
And a lot of dead air is going to be while you look for this player.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to think of like
who was it? Like it did not go well. This is what happens. It was recent, like within the last couple of years.
No clue.
I'm looking. Let me look.
What are you even searching to even trying to find it?
I'm looking on their roster.
Oh. I don't know. I just went on Google and typed in OHL player signs in Europe. And I'm like, who is it? I don't know. I mean, I guess to your point, like it could hurt someone's value if it doesn't work out. But like, I just think I think it should be the top end. Like was he a top end player?
No, he wasn't a top end player.
Huh. No, that's why I'm saying, like, if the guys that I think should be going over and playing against men are the top end, because if you're not tearing up the OHL, why should you be going overseas? Because you're not even dominating your own league.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I would like anyone that's listening that knows the prospect I'm talking about right now, and I don't know why I can't remember their name, because as soon as I say it, you'll be like, oh yeah, like it'll be like one of those. So I don't know why I'm forgetting, but either way, I'll just move on.
You'll move on.
So we talked about the development side of what's going on, but there's something more going on with the CHL, and the reason a lot of people are saying things need to change, and that's because of the lawsuit. And we talked about it on the last podcast of all the abuse and hazing. The OHL released a statement, said protection of OHL players has been and will always be our primary concern. We are committed to players first environment free of hazing, abuse, harassment, and bullying. And then there's a entire CHL statement, which includes the WHL, the O, and the Q, obviously. I'll read the first paragraph and then we'll touch on some points from the rest of the statement, because it's a long statement actually. Every year, the Canadian Hockey League, which includes the WHL, OHL, and QMJHL, are charged with the care and safety of 1,400 young men who play in our league. The CHL is committed to ensuring them an environment that is players first and free of hazing, abuse, harassment, and bullying, and that provides zero tolerance for any of these behaviors. So you see that, and basically they say a lot more of what's going on, that they do offer mental health for their players. Like they work with organizations such as the Canadian Mental Health Association, the Canadian Red Cross, and Respect in Sport. They do that to help develop extensive policies and practices to educate players and team staff on the importance of respect and prevention of hazing, abuse, harassment, and bullying throughout the leagues, who have worked to ensure there is zero tolerance for violations of our rules and policies for both teams and players. Brock McGillis tweeted that he guarantees, after the news of this lawsuit broke out, he guarantees what the CHL will do. He just tweeted this, that they would form, like they would come out with a statement that they formed a group that will help review things and help protect players. He predicted it before they made this statement, and in the next paragraph of that statement, the CHL Board of Directors unanimously agreed to the appointment of an independent review panel to thoroughly review the current policies and practices in our leagues that relate to hazing, abuse, harassment, and bullying, and the allegation that players do not feel comfortable reporting behaviors well, that's a big word, that correspond with these policies. A chair of this panel will be announced in the coming weeks, and our goal is to have the review process completed in time to the start of the 2021 season. We welcome the findings of the independent review panel to ensure we are providing the safest player experience in hockey and amateur sport. The biggest concern Brock raised about this panel is who's on it.
Yeah.
If it's just hockey people, then the problem will continue to happen.
Yeah, it won't be fixed if it's just hockey people.
Are there people with different sexual orientations on this panel? Are there people of color on this panel? Like, who is on this panel? Who's doing the review?
Yeah, they should have, like, it has to be a mix of people within the hockey scene. It has to be people with a background in knowing all about what triggers someone, like on a mental level or just like on a psychological level. They need to be able to understand where players are coming from. I want to, like, even if it's just like someone that's within the community that, like, either at one point had a child in the OHL or currently has a child in or I guess the CHL. And like it needs to become, and like you said, people of all different sexualities, colors, everything. They need to have a mix, because like you said, if it's just hockey people, the problem will continue.
Yeah, and because the hazing goes, or what's going on in these OHL locker rooms is even beyond hazing. You know, you see misogynistic things said, homophobic things said. Like, there's a lot of issues going on here that need to be fixed in these dressing rooms. And like, I don't want to be like they're only kids, but it does take education because they are young.
Yeah.
You know, you do need people in place to help teach these boys to be men and respectable to all people.
Yeah, because like at this age, like your teenage years are arguably the most important years of your life, because you're like a sponge at that point, and you're just soaking in all the information. So like if you're soaking in information that isn't right, it's gonna impact the rest of your life.
And what goes along at that age is a lot of immaturity. So you have to look to the people, the adults in the room. Most of the time, those are coaches and management and billet parents. Those people have to be educated as well to help see if there is a problem and report problems when there are, and try to fix them and have, like they said, zero tolerance. That's what they said. They have a zero tolerance policy, but obviously they don't.
Yeah, they don't.
Like, I see a lot of people talk about what happened to Carcillo, or some of the things that have been reported recently. Like, oh, that happened, a long time ago. The league, I'm sure the league has changed. And Eric Guest is a prime example of 4 short years ago of what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've even seen people say like that was 4 years ago. The league has changed since then, and it's like, okay, so if it was like that when Garcillo played, it's like that when Guest played. Like you're telling me that it showed no improvement between that gap, but it showed improvement now. Like just as, and everyone's talking like, oh, everyone's more sensitive nowadays, so the league has had to adjust to it, and it's not as loud as much anymore. It's not a matter of people being sensitive. It's just you never should have been allowed to do this within the OHL.
It's not right.
No,
like it messes people up. I mean, that's not the best way to say it, for sure. That's not the best way to say it. And I apologize for that. I shouldn't say messed up, but it does cause issues for people, things that they have to deal with and pay for counseling out of their own pocket later in life because of what happened when they tried to make the NHL. And that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy how much like, and this isn't just a hockey thing. Like this is when you're trying to achieve greatness in anything, you're going to go through hurdles like this. But just because it's in one thing doesn't mean it should be allowed in that one thing, no matter what it is. Like I'm sure people who like models, for example, they got to starve themselves and do stuff like that. There's stories of people sticking fingers down their throat so they're throwing up their food to lose weight. Like it's across anything in the world. Like, and it's just you should be allowed to be who you want to be. If you're performing at a top level, no matter what you're doing, you shouldn't be shunned for doing something differently if you're still doing what is being asked of you.
And I find it funny. I don't know if you'll find this funny. It's kind of ironic. Is these people that say, "Oh, the world's sensitive, it's tradition," and are the ones that get offended the most when you say there's something wrong with hockey.
Yeah,
they get the most upset. You're the snowflake, man. The biggest snowflakes are white males. Like if I tweeted that white males are the biggest snowflakes, you know how many people would at me being upset? Like it's kind of funny, but it's true. And
if you want to blow up on Twitter, go ahead and just do that. And it's crazy. You're 100% right. The ones who are saying, "Oh, everyone's so sensitive nowadays," and this wasn't like that. This in the 80s, everyone were tough and no one took anything. But now I never see the guys who are quote unquote soft on Twitter complaining about something. It's the guys who are, "Oh, you wrecked my sport," but you're the only ones on there complaining.
100%. And just because something was tradition and something was always done this way doesn't mean it was done the right way. There are little things that you could do to rookies. Tell them to pick the pucks up after practice. They fill the water bottle. There's little things that kind of say, "Hey, buddy, you got to work for your spot, show some hard work." Kind of try to grow these people that, yeah, it sucks doing this, but you're at the bottom right now. You have to work to gain some status. Those things are fine. They're 100% fine. There's ways you could do that. Making people bob for apples and piss does not teach anyone anything.
No, like what is that player? What life lesson is that player learning? Is the lesson he's learning in that situation is, "Oh, I should let people step on me to improve my situation"?
Yeah, it's not right. We're picking up pucks, filling water bottles. To me, it's just like, oh, I guess I got to work hard because I'm not where they are yet. So I'm going to continue to do this. To me, that's a simple life lesson. It's just like any job you get. You start at the bottom and you have to work your way up.
No, it's no different than doing chores growing up. Like you gotta take out the trash. You gotta do your own dishes, do your own laundry. Like it helps people grow. But when you're getting to the point where like, hey, you can't leave this bathroom until you do some cocaine. Like what are we doing at this point?
Or what was the one where they tie something to their dick and put them blindfolded and turn on the hot water and leave them in the shower and they can't get out till the tape is soft enough to break out of it? Like what like that's messed up.
Yeah.
Like to me, the people that would do that are the people that were killing like small animals, like sociopaths.
Like out with their BB guns, taking out squirrels.
Like there's something wrong there. Something wrong. I've played hockey my whole life and never thought to do something like that. That is messed up.
No. Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, like if you're putting someone in a situation that they don't want to be in and you're laughing about it, and you're a psychopath. Like you said, you're insane.
Hey, Muddy Ducks, they hit the feather on his face and he slaps his face with the shaving cream. That's funny. That's a harmless prank. That's a good one. Taking the bolts off someone's door when they open it and the whole door falls, that's funny. You're not hurting them. They will be okay.
Unless the door falls on them.
Yeah, you know what? That's true. That's true. There's little things where it kind of sucks. It sucks that it happens. It made the group laugh, but you can move on from things like that. I think that's fair because I do think at all ages, you know, men, women, whoever they are, when you're that age, you're going to do little pranks. You're going to do stupid things. They will happen. But those are not stupid things.
No.
They're not boys just being boys. That's some psychopath stuff. It's like I said, disgusting.
Like if it's something that you would get like if a cop saw you doing it, you would be arrested, then you probably shouldn't be doing it behind closed doors.
100%. That's a good one, Cody. That's a good one. If you would get arrested for what you're doing, you should not be doing it. And obviously, especially if coaches saw and stuff, what hurts me the most, and you've probably seen everyone share it on Twitter, is they mention some of these things that happen, and then they go along and say, these people are still part of hockey. They work for organizations. Tell me their names. I want to know. I want to know who these people are. And like, I guess, I don't know. Like it could go deeper where they felt like they had to treat people this way to fit. Like it could just be a whole cycle too. I'm sure there are moments like that. Maybe not to the degree of some of those disgusting things that we've seen, but some hazing and some bullying where they wanted to fit in. I know I did in high school where you're making fun of a certain kid because you don't want to be the guy everyone's making fun of in that moment.
Yeah, 100%. You'd rather just not do anything than be the guy that's taking the abuse.
So, I don't know. It's definitely something that's going to have to be worked on for sure. Alrighty, so we've tried to talk about the Buffalo Sabres last week. It was not good. My camera died because it's my cell phone. So that was not a great situation. And you just kind of rambled, and we said we needed to get somebody to speak to about this, someone that wasn't us, and we have not talked to them yet. While we're recording this. We're interviewing them tomorrow, so we're recording today on Sunday. His name's Chad.
Chad. Not going to attempt his last name?
DeDominicis.
Hey. Sure.
Is that good?
Yeah.
I feel bad. So he's managing editor of SB Nation's Die by the Blade, co-host for BTB Hockey. He works for Expected Buffalo and is an analytics assistant for BSWIH. I'm not sure what that is, but it's in his bio. So that's where I got that. Worst introduction, Cody? Would you say that's a bad introduction? Here's the thing. I haven't talked to – normally before the interviews, I talk to the person, get their name. You know, we try to figure out what they go by, what they want to promote. Not the case right now. So I'm throwing it to something we have not done yet. What will be great if this does happen where he can't do the interview tomorrow and we just have to record something in between here, that will be funny.
Yeah. That will be very funny.
Yeah. All right, we're throwing it to Chad to talk a little Buffalo Sabres. Is that fine to say? Sabres? Okay, today's guest is Chad DeDominicis. managing editor, SB Nation's Die by the Blade, co-host for the Beyond the Blade podcast. Chad, thank you for coming on and talking to us a little about the Buffalo Sabres today.
Yeah, not a problem.
So 22 members of the organization were fired after missing the playoffs for 9 straight seasons. Was this a much-needed shakeup, or was this a surprise? I remember it happening on Twitter being such a surprise for many other people, but someone that follows the organization, was this a surprise or needed?
It was a surprise in the sense that 3 weeks prior, one of the co-owners / president of the team, Kim Pegula, said that they were going to be keeping Jason Botterill moving forward. And then 3 weeks later, he's out. His assistant general managers are out, and then 19 other people in the hockey department along with him. So in that sense, it was a surprise. I think moving on from Botterill may be something that was overdue. That part maybe isn't surprising, but I think everything that happened after that, going with Kevin Adams, who's a general manager that has very little to almost no front office, at least on the hockey ops side experience, to basically gutting his entire hockey department, especially on the amateur scouting side, was interesting. It was an interesting way to go about it for a new general manager who might want to lean on those people to kind of get caught up. I mean, because he's done no scouting to this point. Like, he hasn't probably even looked at any amateur scouting, anything. So they have a staff, I think, left of 4 people on the amateur side, and his director and assistant director are gone. Probably puts him in a tough spot, but he already replaced those people. He promoted one of his pro scouts to the new director of scouting, and then it looks like they're going to take a new approach to the numbers side of things here with analytics, which is right up my alley, and I'm all behind that. So they took the director of analytics, and he's also now the assistant director of scouting too. So they're going to lean a little more on some video scouting, also regular in-person scouting, and then the numbers as well. So a little bit of a different approach, which, I give them credit for. I'm one of the people that have said to try something new, and I guess they're going to go ahead and try something new.
And you mentioned that, like you said, 3 weeks beforehand, they said, this is our guy, this is our GM going forward. What do you think sparked the change? Why now?
So here's the background to the story: is they were going to go with Botterill, and then I'll give you their version and what probably happened. They said what happened is when they found out that the draft was going to be pushed back further, not until August, October, maybe even September that time, they realized they had more time. So they took a full evaluation of the organization and realized that they said there was philosophical differences, is kind of how they put it. Turns out kind of maybe what happened here is the organization wanted to still go through with, gutting the hockey department. And from a TSN report, Botterill said no. And then a couple days later, he's out the door, Kevin Adams is in, and, here we go. And then those decisions happen anyway. So it looks like while there were some differences within hockey decisions going forward, I think there was some money aspect behind this where Botterill wasn't comfortable making those moves, ended up happening, and so they got somebody in there who basically would do it.
Does the lack of experience for Kevin Adams scare you? And I know so many hockey fans want new people in front offices. It's kind of a problem to see the same people cycle through, but does that worry you at all, the lack of experience?
Sure. I mean, of course, it's, you got to get to know all the general managers. You got to get caught up in any conversations that have happened with Botterill and other teams. This is a summer where they have, I think, 8 to 9 restricted free agents they have to deal with, and some of them big ones, and Victor Olofsson, Sam Reinhart, Linus Allmark, Dominic Cahoon. They bring them onto it, and so there's a lot of big restricted free agent contracts you got to deal with. So it's, you got to get up to speed on that. And I guess the nice thing is here he has time, which is different from a normal off season where, we're at the end of June here, and July 1st would be this week's free agency. So, you get a little bit more time here, a couple, months, maybe 3 months or so to kind of get your ducks in a row. So that works in his favor. But yeah, it's, it's concerning for a guy that really kind of spent most of his time, at least with the Sabres and Pegula Sports Entertainment on the business side. He worked for what we call Harbor Center here, kind of. It's the rink across the street where they kind of have the junior Sabres play, and they have some college hockey. He ran that, and then early in 2019, he moved over to the vice president of administration, and then less than a year later, he's a general manager of the hockey team. So it's weird for a guy who was worried about running HR 2 weeks ago is now running the hockey department. So it's odd, but like I said, try new things. So I'm up for it. See what I roll the dice, see what happens here. Why not?
And then, I mean, everyone wants, like, Eichel has been very vocal with the frustrations he's had with the team. Do you see a world where Eichel isn't on this team long term, or do you think he'll always maintain on the Buffalo roster?
I think it depends where things go. I mean, for the next 2 years at least, I don't think we're going to need to worry about that. But if things don't turn around in the next year or two, then I think that's certainly possible. Now, the thing here is he has a no trade clause that kicks in 2022. But at the end of the day, he could say he wants to be traded, and the Sabres don't have to honor that at all. Eichel has no power in this. They can just say, I understand, Jack, but we're going to try to figure this out. They don't have to trade him. Because really what happens when they get to that point, if that happens, it's that organization is in trouble. I mean, that's it. That's the end. Fans will walk away, be done. I mean, that's kind of ultimate rock bottom for them, and there's really no point of return for that. Because you don't win that trade. You make that trade, you don't win. You're restarting and essentially restarting your entire franchise. So, I think they would definitely do their best to get away from that. They have Rasmus Dahlin here too, who I think will kind of help as he's matured these first 2 years he's been in the league. So, there's some guys around him. There's Reinhart, there's Skinner, and I think they want to put more. Dylan Cousins is going to probably step in next year, and they can probably hope he's going to get up to speed here in a year or two. And then they have a top 10 pick this year, and one of the best forward classes, at least in the top 10 in a couple of years now. So that they have opportunity to add some nice players, and they have a little bit of cap space too. So they can make things happen, but he's not going to sit around long. I think the one thing that's going to help him is he has a really, really good relationship with Ralph Kruger. So I think that's going to work in the Sabres' favor to kind of, in a sense, keep him quiet and kind of give them a couple of years here to figure it out and try to be some sort of a competitive team here.
Can there be any blame on Jack Eichel? Are people starting to look at his leadership? Maybe this is his third coach now. Like, is there any blame on Jack Eichel, or is the skill on the ice, and especially with the season he had this year, it kind of erases that possibility for blame?
Yeah, I mean, there's, in a real world sense, there's this guy carries no blame. But of course, there's going to be a segment of the fan base who's going to, his leadership and this and that, which just, there's nothing to it. It's grasping at straws where this guy has been the franchise. He's been their best player for years now. This year, he hit that elite level, I think, where he started to get more respect around the league, and people in the league understand the type of player that he is, and how dangerous he can be, and as one of the top players in the league. So there's always going to be people who are going to look at his leadership and things like that, and part of it was his immaturity the first few years in the league. Breaking sticks, his attitude, his body language were things you would notice, and they were knocks against him. But especially this year, I think he took a completely different approach to the game. He was much more, I guess, leadership-y, you can say, if I find the word here. So, and that's good. That's good to see the development of him. I mean, he's only 24 years old still. So, I mean, this is still really young. So, you see him taking those steps off the ice, and that's good. And his teammates talked about that. So, I put no blame on this guy. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you feel horrible for him because he's far and away the best player on this team as of now. And you just kind of want to get some success in there and, see what he can do in the playoffs. Because in those big games he plays, he rises to the occasion. And you kind of want to see him get some playoff action here at some point.
And then one guy I've put some blame on, and I think rightfully so, has been Jeff Skinner, who signed that massive contract after the 40-goal year. And then I think he had 14 goals this season. Like, I understand people said he didn't play with Eichel, but I would argue once you're making that much money, it shouldn't matter who you're playing with. You should be producing. Like, how much of a weight does that have on this team, knowing that you have a guy making that much money who just wasn't performing?
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of the problem. I'll say for Skinner, I think I think the production kind of didn't match the way he had a lot of bad luck this year, right? I mean, his shooting percentage was at a career low. He shot below expected for the first time in his career, even. So there's a lot of things that kind of add up to a rough year for him and didn't work out. Then he had some injury things too in the middle of the year. So when he came back, it probably wasn't 100% because it was a rib injury, and those take usually a little bit longer and they can linger. So there's a lot to there. And then, like I said, the players he played with. I mean, he goes from playing with Jack Eichel to Marcus Johansson as his center, who hasn't been a center in 7 years. Vladimir Sobotka as his other wingmate. It was a rotation. I mean, they don't have a second line center. They haven't had one since O'Reilly left, and that's their biggest need. So, yeah, I get it. When you make that much money, you need to produce anyways. But when your teammates are of that poor quality, and then throw on top of it, he took away his power play time. So he potted a lot. I think 8 power play goals last year, and he had none this year. And I think by the quarter mark of the season, he wasn't even the first power play unit. The way it works in Buffalo is the first power play unit plays 90% of the power play, and the second unit gets about 15 seconds. So that's, he goes from being on the top unit to the second unit when he gets about 10 seconds of power play time, and just, there's really nothing there. So it all kind of added up to a whirlwind, and then it's just kind of Jeff Skinner's career track. He has an up year, down year, up year, down year. So, I guess they have to hope that next year is that up year.
Now, I don't know if this is true, but I'm pretty sure I saw it somewhere. Buffalo had a game the night everything was canceled, right? And if they won that game, they would have been one of the 24 teams with the win percentage, because they would have been a higher win percentage than Montreal.
They played Montreal. That's what they were playing, was Montreal that night.
There we go. That's probably why I heard it.
Yeah.
If they win that game, or do these firings happen? Do the discussions around the team happen? The discussions that we're having right now?
No, I don't think so. Well, I don't know. It's tough. I guess I'll put it this way. If they get in and the games were to actually happen, because I think we're at a point right now where we still don't even know if they're really going to play or not. So if they did really end up playing, no, I don't think the firing's happening. If they don't end up playing, I don't know if anything changes, because you're still a team that realistically missed the real playoffs by a ton. So I think in that scenario, even though you technically would have been in the 2014 return to play, if nothing ever happened of it and they decided to cancel the season, then maybe we're looking at the same situation. But if they actually played games, then yeah, I'm sure Bottle would have got another year, because they could have talked about playoffs and this and that, which would have been nonsense. But that's kind of the way it goes.
Go ahead, Tate.
Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of talked about Rasmus Dahlin a little bit. He was super young. Do you kind of believe he's underrated? Like Cody and I have this discussion all the time. Like he's going to be a number one defenseman, if not already. Yeah. Do you feel like he's underrated? Like people are kind of not talking about him enough?
Yeah, and I think part of that goes to kind of the way this season started, right? He had really rough stretch start the season. He was a lot of turnovers. He wasn't producing a lot of even strength. He was really fighting the puck defensively, and I think that hurt him. And he kind of maybe fell behind other guys, like Cal McCarr or Quinn Hughes or even Miro Heiskanen, those young, flashy defensemen that are up and coming. And I think that kind of hurt Dahlin. But you never want to say you're happy for a concussion, but he got a concussion against Tampa Bay around December. And then after he came back from that, he was a completely different player. He was back to the player he was his rookie season, where he was dominant. He was up and down the ice. He was going to play offensively. The turnovers stopped for the most part, but as a 19-year-old, you're going to have those turnovers still, but they were not as often or as bad as they were before that. So, yeah, I think it's just kind of a development path here that he's on. For a guy who struggled as much as he did and still to be on a pace for 50 points is pretty incredible. If you think, he had a poor half of the season and still almost got 50 points, only imagine if he has a full good season where he could end up. So that's kind of the crazy part in all this. So he's ultra talented. He's fun to watch. That kid's going to be great. And I'm curious what they do with him next year. I think next year is kind of the, sink or swim situation with him. Throw him in the deep end, make him your top pair defenseman and see if he can handle it, because after next season, you got to pay him. He's a restricted free agent, and it's pay up time. So I think they need to figure out for sure that he can be that top pair guy for them, and see how it goes, and then go through his contract then the following summer.
And then the one positive thing you can say for the Sabres is their best players are young, and they're going to have the potential to add another young, good piece this draft with the 8th overall pick. Do you have anyone in mind that would fit the system, or do you think it's take best player available, pick by need? Like, what are you hoping the Sabres do this draft?
Yeah, I think it's for me, it's a forward. You take a forward. I don't care who it is. Any one of those, top 10 consensus forwards, you get one. Just take a forward, and that's what you do. Personally, the guys I like Lucas Raymond a lot. I think he's one of the flashy wingers that could help him. Marco Rossi is another one that if he starts to fall down the board, maybe they can get lucky and snag him. I'm also a big fan of Anton Lundell. I think for what they need at center, and what he's done over in Liga and a pro league, he maybe can step right in with them next season and then kind of play that two-way game. And, then they get a player right away they can throw on the roster. But, with the way it's going, most of those European guys are probably going back since those leagues are going to start well before the NHL is going to start. But still, he's a guy that can even step in, in 21, 22. So I think those three guys are my favorites of who I would prefer if one of them drops them at 8. But regardless, just grab a forward. If it's a goaltender, it's going to rain fire. If it's a defenseman, it's going to be ugly, especially I think if it's Jake Sanderson, then fans are going to be really unhappy. But, we'll see. I'm hoping they go forward, and ultimately I think they will.
It's just it's not, obviously, they get the 8th pick, but this isn't continuation of the rebuild this summer. Like, Kevin Adams isn't going to look for a rebuild. Is he going to be looking to retool, I guess is the term used? Is that the direction they're going to be in?
Yeah, because the owner said this. They're not in a rebuild right now. That's the owner said when they introduced him in their video conference they did. So they're not looking to rebuild. They're looking to keep going, trying to build a contender. Especially when you have Eichel sitting around, you really can't go into rebuild. You need to go and be a contender and start to grow your team. So I think they're going to look to do that. There's even been some talk of them moving that 8th overall pick in the right situation if they can get a young second line center. Maybe there's a possibility to do that, but I don't know if that player is available. Personally, I would go more with the Vancouver approach, and I would maybe throw your 2021 first rounder out there and see, if you can grab a second line center that way. But there's definitely no talk of a rebuild at all here in Buffalo.
Well, I just want to thank you for your time, Chad. I know the Buffalo Sabres are definitely going to be a team that a lot of people are going to be paying attention to, and everyone always says it, that fan base, deserves some success because of how dedicated they are. Cody and I are both Leaf fans, so we feel the struggle. we understand it a little bit. So, again, thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of your night.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Again, that was Chad talking to us about the Buffalo Sabres. I hope it was a good conversation.
Yeah.
I expect it would be.
Well, you guys will know because we'll be in different clothes again.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe we'll wear the same shirts. It'll be, you won't be able to tell. Did we record it that day? Did we not? So, yeah, I'm sure it was a good conversation with Chad. Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. I'm I wish I could add something about the Buffalo Sabres, and maybe we'll record a little bit after talking to him to give our own opinions about the Sabres. I don't know. Yeah. We'll figure it out, though. We'll figure it out. NHL Draft Lottery, though. You and I, Friday, just randomly did a live stream that day. We were like, hey, you want to do this while we're watching it? You're like, sure. You had trouble getting on, though. You never
keep saying I had trouble. It was 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Cody. It's joining an Instagram Live. I was on for 15 minutes trying to get you to join.
Well, to be fair, I just lost track of time and didn't realize we were over time. Well, but once I did see your message, I got as soon as when I sent my first message to you was when I first saw that you were on Instagram Live.
Okay. Well, we got through it. We did it. There's some reactions, I think, around the 20-minute mark where I say, oh, my God, I can't believe it. And Cody goes, no, we knew that. And then Cody realizes, no, we didn't. He totally forgot L.A. existed.
No, what it was is LA's logo looks so similar to the NHL logo that I just assumed it was the NHL logo.
That makes sense. Let me go through. So basically, it went team to be determined at the first overall pick, LA, Ottawa, but from the San Jose one at third, Detroit at 4, Ottawa again at 5, the Ducks at 6, the Devils at 7, and Buffalo at 8. Did you love it?
I hate to say it, and I feel bad for the teams that fell, but like I loved it.
Someone asked how I felt. I said I loved it and I hate it at the same time. I love the fact that because I showed genuine emotion. When it happened, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. That's crazy. It made me excited for hockey again, wondering like who's going to get them, like who's going to be the team. I felt bad for Detroit, but some people need to get over it.
Yeah, the people, like I've been going on like Twitter and Facebook and everything the past day or so, and like everyone that I know that's like we live in Windsor, so we know a lot of people, or at least I know a lot of people that are Detroit fans. Like I would say 50-50 with me of the people I know are either Leafs or Detroit, and everyone that I know that was a Detroit fan, all they were talking about is like, I can't believe the NHL allowed this to happen. It's rigged. First of all, if it was rigged, there's no way the placeholder team would be drafting first. This is the worst thing that could have happened for the NHL on their stand, like themselves. But
is it though? This creates conversation. They're going to get another TV thing done with the other teams.
I'm saying like the NHL didn't want this from a backlash point of view. Like people, like they knew this was if this team happened, they were in for it. And like the percentage of them this actually happening, I'm sure there's no way the placeholder team is drafting first overall.
What I got to say to Detroit fans is it sucks to suck. Get over it. You guys suck. Lafreniere coming on to the Red Wings is not going to change things next year. Someone's like, oh, we have no franchise players. You might be able to get one at 4, but you have Dylan Larkin, Anthony, like you have players in your system. It's your own fault that you try to go for the playoffs every year and have no players in the system. They haven't drafted and developed. They sucked for 1 year, like really sucked. Like, figure it out. It's not anyone else's fault.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Yeah, they're one of those. They're the classic case where like they were good enough to make like a 7th or 8th seed, and instead of being like, hey, let's take a step back and refill the cupboards, they're like, no, we're gonna go and get eliminated in the first round for 3 years in a row, and then we'll start worrying about the future. And I think part of it was the fact that they had that crazy streak of, I think it was like 25 or 26 years straight of being in the playoffs. And they wanted to keep that streak going. But, like, because like you said, if they get the first overall pick, yeah, they're getting a great player to build around. But, like, one player, this isn't like basketball. Like, one player can't flip. You don't flip a switch with one player and become this god. Like, look at Jack Eichel in Buffalo.
Yeah.
One player helps. It certainly helps. Like, but Buffalo has 2 first overall picks. Edmonton had 3 first overall picks. Like, 1 first overall pick isn't going to change a franchise. It's a great building block, but you need to build 5 core players that you can build around it. And I'm sure one that was drafted first overall would be a great place to start. But you're not getting a bum at 4.
Yeah, like they act like it's done. It's over. Yeah, we're never gonna have a shot at the cup. We didn't get Lafreniere. No, figure it out. Draft well. Like Steve Yzerman gets paid to do something. This is his job. You're not guaranteed that first pick. And some people are like, oh, like teams should be guaranteed. No,
because then you would just start seeing teams tank for the sake of getting the first overall pick.
Exactly. And some people, tanking is non-existent. The Buffalo Sabres never existed. Edmonton Oilers.
They
The Toronto
traded
Maple
away
Leafs did it.
anything that could potentially lead to them getting additional wins.
The Leafs did it as well.
Yeah.
Like there's teams that do this and like we're acting like the Pittsburgh Penguins just won.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, oh, these guys are going to lose on purpose. Get out of here. Lose on purpose? Lafreniere is all of a sudden better than the Cup? Like, that's ridiculous to me. Who's losing on – like, I seen someone tweet out, oh, it's going to be tough for a team that's down two in a series in the play-in to muster it up thinking of Lafreniere. No! These are professional athletes. They're going to give it their all. You think they're thinking about Lafreniere? They don't care.
Yeah, these teams are in a playoff spot. Like, they don't care that they're – like, yeah, it would be nice that the franchise gets that player, but the players on the roster just want to win at that point.
Yeah.
Like, they don't – some of them, like, think of all the players that are on one-year deals that might not even be back with the teams that they're currently on. You think I'm going to potentially play bad here, so the franchise I'm playing for – which I won't be back with next season, will have a good future.
Like we're thinking Sidney Crosby, Sid the Kid, is going to be like, you know what? We're down 2-0, third game in the series, like elimination game. Boys, I'd rather that 12.5% at laugh. No! That's not happening.
There's
and
no
it
way.
would be,
He's
it's
playing
ridiculous.
As hard as he possibly can.
It's embarrassing that anyone, any hockey fan, any reporter, anyone would think that a professional athlete is willing to throw it away for a 12.5% chance at a player. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Or that the fact that any fan right now, like Leaf fans, oh, Lafreniere would be pretty good. You know, you get him on the ELC. No, I want the Stanley Cup. I don't care if it's the COVID Cup. I want to win.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, no one – if you're a fan of our franchise, like, if Leaf fans are seriously thinking, oh, we should lose this series, laugh, and then it will put it over the edge, we're paying 3 million players $11. Or 3 players $11 million.
We're paying 3 million players $11.
We're paying 3 players $11 million. Like, yeah. Figure it out. You should be contending right now.
Exactly. And, like, I don't know. Like, I think Detroit's going to be fine. How many first overall picks did the St. Louis Blues have last year?
I'm trying to think who would be the highest pick even on that team. Is it Pietrangelo? Who was like, what, 4th overall?
So he was 4th.
I'm just trying to think of the other big names. Like Ryan O'Reilly wasn't even a first-round pick.
No.
Shin, I think Shin was 5th overall. Who else would be on that up front that I'm really thinking of, like their big names?
Schwartz was 14th. I don't know.
Like I think it's Pietrangelo. I think he went 4th overall.
4th. How funny is that? 4th, Detroit.
Hey,
the
and
highest. Go ahead.
You're like, oh, number 1 defenseman, Pietrangelo. That makes it all different. You have the potential to draft a number 1 defenseman at 4.
Yeah. You have the potential to draft Jamie Drysdale or Sanderson, but I expect Drysdale would be the top defenseman. He could be the guy to build around.
Yeah.
So it just pisses me off that these Detroit fans, it's rigged, it's a joke. It's not a joke. This is the best thing to happen. It is so awesome that and stop saying it's a playoff. Oh, a playoff team won the first overall pick. No, a playoff
it's
team
not a playoff team. It would be a team that was eliminated that just moved up the draft.
Like I guess we automatically think Montreal's beating Pittsburgh. Like that's all of a sudden Montreal's a favorite now. Chicago's a favorite over Edmonton. Like is that what we're saying? Who else is playing? I can't even name all the teams right now. Who's Nashville playing?
Nashville's playing. Oh, I should know this because I just edited the odds article for. Let's see. So the play-in matchups.
Well, everyone gets 12.5%.
Yeah.
All those play-in team, any play-in team that loses gets a 12.5%. And I kind of like that because, again, it takes away, which we said no team's losing on purpose, but it takes away the chance for a franchise. Montreal all of a sudden, hey, we're not dressing this guy, whatever reason they can make up to not have their players play. That's
the Coyotes are playing Nashville.
So that's a bit of a toss-up. That was probably a bad example on my part. Tell me the other matchups. Like,
I just closed the tab.
So, like, Montreal, if Montreal gets Lafreniere, that's a team I would be okay with getting him. Like, you're telling me the Montreal Canadiens don't deserve a shot at him. They do. They suck. They don't have a franchise player. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the thing I don't get, I get it from a standpoint of, a lot of Detroit people who I know, my friends, I'm like, just get over it. It sucks, but you're still getting a good player. Like, a lot of them are like, oh, you don't get it. When the Leafs were bad, they got their piece. They got Matthews the year they finished last. They got what they wanted to. And it's like, yeah, but, they had other people. Like, before Matthews was a Leaf, going into that draft, I'm like, even if you end up with Line A or you already had William Nylander, Mitch Marner, and a potential top 4 pick to build around. Like, you had the building blocks there. It's nice that we got Matthews, but you're telling me Line A on that team, it's a downgrade, but is it that much of a downgrade that it ruins your chance of ever winning a cup? Like, when they're talking about Line A, who is going to consistently flirt with 40 goals, maybe even 50.
Yeah, it's ridiculous to think that. And is it because it's Lafreniere? Is that why? Like, if this is Nico Hischier, is it as big of a deal? During that draft or Jack Hughes? No. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure. Let me look at last year's draft. What were the standings last year, Cody? Can you pull them up? And I'm gonna pull up.
Wasn't it the Avs that finished last and they ended up 4th? Cale Makar?
Yeah.
Or was that the year before?
That might have been the year before.
But that team was, I don't know. I don't think they were as bad as Detroit, but they were bad.
They were bad.
That was the Hischier draft, so that was the 2017 draft, so a few seasons ago. But
so yeah. Tell me last year who was last place.
Let me look. Trying to think of teams that would be at the top.
Was it Ottawa Senators?
I think it might have been, yeah. Let's see.
And Colorado got Bowen Byram for that.
Yeah. The thing I don't get is, Cale Makar is arguably, Pedersen, so it's not arguably, but, Makar is arguably the second best player in that draft. You got him at 4. If anything, I know the top end of this draft, Lafreniere is such a good player, but if anything, this would be a year where I would be okay with falling because you're still getting a player that you could build a franchise around at 4.
Yeah. Yeah. You're definitely right. NHL 19 standings. Did you pull it up? I'll pull it up right now.
I'm on their website, but I'm trying to change the year. I can't figure out where to change the year on this stupid NHL.com.
I got it.
The thing I saw on Twitter today is did you know Marco Rossi has the second highest points per game of a draft eligible player in the past 10 years?
No, I didn't know that.
Behind Connor McDavid. He has a higher points per game his draft season than guys like Mitch Marner, all these high-end players. He had a 2.12 points per game this season, second to only Connor McDavid.
Marco Rossi would be a great pick there.
I think Rossi is, if you want to go for the home run, you go Rossi just in the fact that I think he has the potential to maybe even be better than Byfield. I think he might be the second best player. He has the potential to maybe be the second best player in this draft. But he's also has the potential of being a bust.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
If you want to play it safer, I think you go Drysdale.
Yeah, I think that's true. But it really depends. It really depends. I think either player you could obviously build around, but you're right. Marco Rossi does have a chance to be a bust. But sorry, I was just quickly looking at last year's standings. The Chicago Blackhawks were 20th last year, and they ended up with the 3rd overall pick. I don't remember hearing anyone complain.
No. The year New Jersey got the 1st overall pick, they climbed the draft. Weren't they like 10 or 11?
Oh, when they got Nico Hischier?
Yeah.
Let's see. When was the Hischier one?
2017 draft.
So that would be the 16-17 standings, league standings. No, they were 27th.
Oh, so they still climbed, but it wasn't.
Yeah, there wasn't anything ridiculous.
I thought it was a draft day.
It was Carolina. They were 21st. They got the 2nd overall pick, right? With us. No,
it wouldn't be 21st. Oh, you did 21st in the standing. Okay.
21st in the standings. When was
or even like
Spetch?
The Jets. I remember the Jets climbing in the draft to get Line.
Let me see. This is 2018.
The Matthews was the 2016 draft, so it would be the 2015-16 season.
Yeah, so Carolina was 21st overall in the league and jumped up to the 2nd overall pick for Svechnikov.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember people complaining.
Yeah.
Like no one was talking about. Now, Buffalo won their 1st overall pick that year, Rasmus Dahlin. That was like the 8th time they tanked. But not on purpose. So it's just like they have to get over it. They have to move on. It sucks, Detroit. You guys are going to suck again next year. Maybe you'll get it then. Maybe. You don't know. You're going to add some pieces, draft well, develop well, just because you don't have to have a 1st overall pick to win the Stanley Cup.
No, and I think the one thing this does do, though, is like I don't think you should expect the guy they do take at 4 to be in the NHL next season. I think they're going to be sent back just because you don't want to put him on that garbage team.
Yeah, that's fair. But
I don't know about you, man, but I think Drysdale's the pick because like it's so hard to get the number 1 D.
It is so hard. Yeah, I don't know. That would be a hard decision for me just because I think Marco Rossi, I think he can play in the NHL next year. Am I wrong for saying that?
No, I think he's. Yeah, I think he could. I don't think Drysdale. I don't think Drysdale could. I think Drysdale.
Yeah, Drysdale. Defensemen need longer.
I think Rossi has a higher ceiling than Drysdale. I just think Drysdale is a safer pick, and I think you're getting a number 1 D. So do you value a slightly better forward or a number 1 D?
Yeah, but if we're talking about ceiling, if they're looking for a franchise changer, Marco Rossi could be a franchise changer, and you don't have any. Where Jamie Drysdale will be a very good player. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. I guess.
And like we also don't know Detroit's depth enough to know whether or not. Like Colin was saying, they don't really need D, and was naming a bunch of D. Like what's the German guy they got? The Cider guy.
Oh yeah.
Everyone thinks he's a god, even though like he put up the same ice as Timothy Liljegren did his first year in the AHL. And Liljegren's already bust. Get out of here. That's garbage. There's a 17th overall pick. He'll probably be a top 4 defenseman one day still. Like, relax. Okay, maybe not top 4. I don't know why I said that. he'll be an NHL defenseman. Anyways, like, you can't judge these players right now. You just can't. Detroit, you got to get over it. Cody, I hope you clip some of that because I'm excited to post you and I. If you could clip me complaining about Detroit and then you complaining about Detroit, make it one, we'll post it. We'll get some traction because y'all are losers. And it sucks to suck.
I'm going to clip that and just post that.
I don't care.
And
Detroit fan. Here, this is it. This is what I'll clip this right now. I'm speaking to every single one of you Detroit fans. Get over it. You guys are a bunch of bums. Losers. You guys suck. You deserve to get the 4th overall pick and probably still find a franchise changer like Jamie Drysdale or Marco Rossi. You guys suck. Your GM, overrated. Clip it.
Take some heat for that one, Tate.
Yeah, we might. What's the next topic here?
Hub cities.
Hub cities. I lost my spot, buddy. Sorry. Bill Daley won't say whether the spike in coronavirus cases in the United States has affected the NHL's decision-making process regarding where games will be played if the season resumes. Chicago, Las Vegas, Los Angeles are reportedly the 3 American locations among 5 remaining candidates to host city. Edmonton and Toronto are the others. Corona cases have been surging in many U.S. states, with the country setting a new single-day national record on Friday with 46,000 cases, according to NBC's News. Nicole Acevedo, Joe Murphy, and Josh Letterman. Man, why are you throwing these names in here, Cody? You just copy and paste this? That number reportedly included more than 8,000 new cases in Florida, along with 4-digit figures in Arizona, California, and Texas. The corona is out there in the States right now.
Yeah, the corona is out there, period. Like, people got overly, I guess when people got overly happy when they thought it was dying down and took advantage of it, and it's coming back to bite us.
I'm not like, have you, Windsor's open now. Have you been to a patio?
I haven't been to a patio, but I went to and picked up food at a place.
You've been able to do that the whole time, so
no. I interacted with the people in the establishment.
Now, we both live in where I live is actually still shut down. There's no patio, so I live in Kingsville, Ontario. As I'm sure anyone from Ontario has heard, Kingsville and Leamington are the only 2 towns, I think, in all of Canada that are still shut down. I may be wrong, but at least Ontario, for sure, are the only towns. So it sucks, but I understand it. But Windsor-Essex is also a mask mandatory county, which is fine with me. I don't really care. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Canada, though, like even in Kingsville and Leamington, shut down towns, we had 96 cases yesterday. You're like, wow, that's a lot, Tate. 94 were migrant workers.
Yeah.
But even at that 96 number, that is nothing. Compared to the United States, Ontario as a whole had like 300.
Yep.
We're talking about, you have the number 8,000 in these notes, Cody.
I mean,
did you double check to make sure that's right?
That paragraph right there is copied and pasted from a site.
They had 45 or 46,000 cases in one day.
Yep.
In all the spots that the NHL is still looking at in the United States. LA, California. What else did you have? Well, Vegas seems to be a front runner for whatever reason. Like, someone mentioned it because they would have the best place for the players. Lots of hotels. There's things to do, but it's like, can they do that? Like, what are they gonna? You're telling me if the boys come in Vegas and the rest of Vegas is open, they're staying in the bubble?
No.
No.
There'll be people. There will be players that go out. I'm all for. Like, I don't care if it's in the U.S. or in Canada, but I think it's definitely the smarter decision to be in Canada.
I think so too, and the crazy thing is, while recording this, we're 12 days away from training camp.
Yeah, like it's snuck up on me. Like, you're hearing all this stuff, and it's like every time I go on Twitter, it doesn't sound good, but it seems like they're on. No one's saying anything like, "Hey, we're pushing it back." Nothing like that. But every time I read something, it's this sounds awful.
Yeah, like everyone's so doom and gloom. Like a week ago, people are like, "You can't do this." The NHL, it's impossible. They had 11 players up 200 tested have coronavirus.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, people, it's gonna happen. They're gonna take every precaution, and I hate to say this. I don't want to be the guy to say this because it's wrong to think this, but I do think this. I'm at work. Most of you guys are at work. You can't tell work I'm not showing up. If they have everything in there to help with prevention of the coronavirus, it is deemed safe. If the NHL has every single thing possible there to keep these players safe, they have to go.
Yeah.
I don't think you can say no. Like, I don't understand why you would. It's your job. You signed a contract. You have to go. Is it different in a pandemic, Cody? Like, everyone else has to go back to work.
Yeah, I agree with you in the sense. It's just the bubble makes it so weird just from the fact that we're separating most of these players from their families, and like a lot of players have young children, and like if you're making a deep run, like you got to do all the play, and if you beat the play on, you could potentially run all the way to the cup. That's a long time to be isolated from your family, where you could have like 5-year-olds, 3-year-olds, a newborn.
Yeah, but we don't know if there's going to be no family yet. They might
we don't know,
bring
but
their
like,
family with them.
Yeah, we don't know, but like if there is the case where there is, like, because I read something about Gary Bettman making it's a priority that families are going to be able to see the players. But like if it doesn't happen, like I get it's a job and it's asking a lot, and you're paid millions of dollars to show up and do this. I don't know, but part of me is always like, there's stuff bigger than sports. I don't know. I get that it's a job, but in the back of my mind, the thing that keeps going through is like, there's problems bigger than sports right now.
Yeah, and bigger problems would happen if sports don't happen. I think that's something a lot of people, I see reporters like, yeah, don't do the sports. Well, be prepared to lose your job. You might not have a job if there's no sports this summer. You will be laid off, basically fired.
Yeah, especially in the sports scene where it's so hard to get in, and once you get out, it's so hard to get back in again. So like, it's scary. Like we always talk about it. Like the guys, like he gets a lot of hate on Twitter, on social media, but the guys like Steve Dangle will always be okay because he has that online market that like, hey, he'll always have that presence. Like he has over 100,000 followers on Twitter. He'll be fine. But it's the guys who are the behind the scenes guys, or the guys you don't see about that much, who are going to be in it for the worst right now.
Well, you take a look at some of these beat writers, all of a sudden, I'm on the Leafs beat. Well, there's a bug right here. I'm on the Leafs beat. If the Leafs aren't playing, it might not play till December, January. What do they need me for?
Yeah.
Get rid of that person. They're an expense we don't need. And you may think all these companies are making so much money. They're not. Not when there's no sports. Then they're not getting advertising. Like it's a trickle down economics if you like it. There can be some serious issues. It's not just the players, and I understand it's difficult to be away from your family, but a lot of these guys are anyway. I think we think of family in the sense of taking like being there, but they're not most of the time. Like I forget, it might have been John Tavares or maybe it was Petrolangelo talking about his kid, and he was talking how his wife had to do most of the work because he still had to get his pregame nap in, and all these he had to sleep well. Like it's a little ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous to think that these guys are concerned about their nap time, but now all of a sudden they're concerned about family, and that's a ridiculous thing to say because they can still care about their family. And when you have a certain amount of money, you could pay for help. Obviously, it's just different that way. But like, I don't get that. I know it's difficult to be away from your family, but they are a lot anyways. And they would be in a long series. They would be away from their family a lot, and they would be hella focused. And to be honest, I'm sure a lot of times during these runs, there's not a lot of focus on their kids and stuff that you mentioned. And maybe I'm generalizing, but I don't know. Yeah, but I also go back and forth with this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you do. Like, there are times where I'm like, you know what? I totally get it. I totally understand why you would not want to go away for maybe 3 months, just be with the team. That can be very difficult. Like, I get it. And the safety aspect. I would be concerned that they're not doing enough for my safety, but if they are, you really have no excuse.
Yeah. I don't know. The only thing I always think of is like sports, like any other normal job, like in hockey or like in basketball, you're always up against other players, and there's so much content, and it's dirty, you're sweating, and there's all this stuff on top of being in the bubble away from your family. And I don't know, like, just think of it from a risk point. Like, it's terrible to think about, but like, say a player does contract corona, and then they end up becoming extremely sick and dying. Like, they risked it all for a sport.
What? Why are they dying?
What do you mean why? There's been cases where younger people have died from the corona case.
Athletes like that? With
No,
no health conditions?
No, I'm just saying it.
I understand that's your worst case scenario. I get that. But chances are that's not happening. That could happen. These guys play on the ice. Like, we've seen seizures happen. We've seen skates cut people. They can die any second out there from many other things other than corona.
I don't know. I get it's a job and I get you're paid millions of dollars, but I think I'm gonna fall on the side of the players that, like, hey, if you feel uncomfortable, it's on you, man. You make that decision.
Yeah, I just can't agree with that, because if you went to a workplace and said, I feel uncomfortable, and they put in they do things to try to keep you safe, then there's nothing, you can lose that job, and they have every right to fire you. That's just the world that we live in. You can't sue them. You can't say it's not safe for work. It's how it's written up. Those are the laws. And like I work at a car dealership, and there's people working on cars that come in. We don't know who they are, where they've been. I'm touching their car, like, not me specifically, other people. You don't know where they've been. There's risk everywhere right now. Patios are open. All these people are on patios. I bet you some of the reporters or people tweeting out, oh, I can't believe, like, let's not risk it for sports, or out on patios enjoying some beers and having dinner. Like, you don't think that's happening? You don't think any of these people are all these people staying at home not talking to anyone?
the other thing you have to remember with me that people won't know listening to the podcast is I'm an extreme germaphobe. Like, so it hits me a lot harder than like I'm the type of person that like I know a dish can be clean, but I'm still gonna wash the plate before I eat on it.
Okay.
Like,
yeah,
I'm extreme in that sense.
If someone has, if someone say you're diagnosed as a germaphobe type thing, and you really can't handle it, I'm okay with that. Say Max Domi doesn't feel comfortable going. I'm okay with that. I understand those situations where they're immune compromised or like, you know, it could be an issue if they do get it. I totally get that, especially when it comes to staff and older people. But if not, and there's things in place to keep everyone safe, then I can't see them having the ability to say, I don't feel comfortable. I don't think that's right.
Okay. Yeah. I see, like 100%. I see where you're at. I don't know. I think it's just the back of my like what you joked about where I talked about, hey, I went out today and picked up food. Like you could do that all the time, but like today was like the first time I've been out. I've been out one other time to pick up food since all this has broke down. This is the second time I've gone out in public to get food because I'm that paranoid.
And that's fine, man. Like I totally get that. And I'm sure there's people paranoid that have to go to work every day. Like it sucks, you know, but like, I don't know. Like it also bothers me when people are like, okay, like I said, I totally get shutting it down. I get that, but I do think there'll be other implications that are going to like, I don't think it's just sports like everyone's saying. That's why I'm saying this. If it was just playing hockey, like playing hockey right now with your buddies and stuff, don't do it. It's not worth it. Going out to the patio right now, I haven't been. I'm not going to. I don't see that it's worth it right now.
Going to play some golf, don't bother.
I'll play golf because I can social distance. Like I have a cart by myself, you know, wipe it down. I got gloves. I wear a mask where I go, although masks are mandatory, like I said. Either way, I get it. But don't say, we'll start it up back in October. What changes? Like, what's going to change from now to October? Most likely nothing.
Yeah.
That's what I don't get is like, what, like, even in January, we're hoping maybe some people will be allowed, or the OHL has talked about allowing fans in at like 30% capacity. Like, the coronavirus is still existing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get when is it okay?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so strange. Like, I don't know. Like, I was just thinking, like, the world's so, like, I never thought, this is something no one planned for. Like, I wasn't planning in my mid-20s to be like, okay, I got to limit the amount of time I can go outside and interact with people because I might contract this deadly virus. And it's like, it's so weird that it's just like, oh, I went out for a walk today just to get out of the house. But like, this is something people are dealing with. Like I know my one friend, he has a girlfriend he's dating. She lives in Detroit. He lives in Windsor. They haven't seen each other in person since all of this has happened. Like, it's such a weird situation that no one could predict it. No one could have predicted or no one was expecting. So it's like, I don't know. It's just a weird situation.
I'm also confused too. Like I do switch back and forth with my ideas of what, like, if the players should play, because like obviously this is a podcast, so I do try to exaggerate and rile up things. Obviously, you've seen that with Detroit, you know. Like I go back and forth with it. I just like, I don't know, like you said, it's such a strange world, and I'm confused what's even allowed or okay, what the coronavirus is, how bad it is for me. Like, there's so much misinformation out there on what's right, what's wrong. Even I seen a hospital say that masks are bad. Like, they posted about it, you know, and like, I don't know, like, there's just so much misinformation. Like, first of all, how to mask it? Like, even the pandemic became political. You know, there's like different sides, and it's a pandemic, and I just don't know. Like, I don't know what to do. I like in my mind, I'm like, we have to just move on because this is life. Like, this is our lives.
Yeah.
And playing hockey a month from now is not going to make a difference in 3 months from now.
Yeah.
Like, what are health officials? That's the other thing. So because they did it to flatten the curve, not stop the virus, right?
Yeah.
So, like, that's why we're allowed to see more people. It doesn't mean like there's less of a chance all of a sudden to catch it. It's just if we do, there's resources in the hospital to make sure that we don't die.
Yeah.
I guess, right?
Yeah. It's
confusing. It's weird.
I was just gonna say it's such a weird time to be alive. Like it's so
and
strange.
like I feel like a dick for saying like all the players should come back. It's just I don't know. I just don't know what else we're supposed to do. When is it going to happen? And people will start losing their jobs. And I feel like I'm like, I don't know. You know those type of people that start saying things like that, because I just think like it will be a bigger issue if there's no sports. I know it feels like it's just a game, but it can affect a lot of people, and it has already affected a lot of people. Even in these hub cities, not everyone's going to get to go if you're a reporter or, whoever you are. Like only certain people will get to go.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like I don't think either of us know. Like I don't think anyone knows enough about what's the benefits and the negatives of doing this and not doing this. And like I get 100%. I get where you're coming from. Where like we gotta just start rolling. We gotta get back to how things were. Everyone has to go to their jobs. Everyone has to just return to life as we know it. But I don't know. There's always going to be part of me that's like in the back of my mind. I'm always going to be a little paranoid.
Well, like you said, same here. I mean, for some reason, I'm more paranoid for other things than for some things than others. Like I'll go play golf, which obviously I'm taking a chance there. But like I said, I won't go to a patio right now. For whatever reason it is, it's just not like I'm paranoid about different things, It's
and I talk like I'm super paranoid, and like it is so you just trick yourself almost in a sense, because like in the same way where I'm paranoid, I wouldn't go to a patio. When I went and picked up food today, there was like 6 people there. Only 2 of us had masks on, including me. So one other person of the 6 had a mask on, and I was losing it at that point. I'm like, oh God, this is where I go.
Yeah.
But like I went to a family barbecue like a week and a half ago. Right? Like, I guess it's because like in the back of my mind, it's like, oh, this is family. These are friends. Nothing's going to happen here, but they have just as high of a chance of giving it to me as anyone.
Because you don't know what they've been doing in their own time. Right.
Yeah.
And like that's what makes it all so difficult. And maybe I'm naive or ignorant to trusting the government or the NHL that they're talking to these doctors and these health officials to do the right things and have certain things done, like, I don't know, maybe it's stupid of me to think everything's going to be in place to keep these players as safe as possible. But even Will Skelch, like mentioned, there might be long-term effects that we don't know about. So when I hear that, then I start thinking, okay, let's not play hockey, but at the same time, these guys playing hockey is like, look at Austin Matthews, who has been reported to contract COVID-19. Some people said, oh, he's going out, he wasn't careful. You don't know that.
Yeah.
We have like these players are going to live their lives, and some will be like you, Cody, where they stay inside. Some will be like me, where they go outside but don't go everywhere. And some will be like the other peoples that are out on the patios. You're not going to know. You could still get it, even if they're not playing hockey, because they're going to be living their lives.
Yeah.
So, like, what difference does it make if they're playing hockey?
Yeah.
Especially in a bubble where they could be the safest. Like, maybe if family can come, maybe some of these players are thinking, damn, now I'm going to bring my family because that might be the safest place to be.
Yeah.
So, again, we don't know, but it's 12 days away. So it's crazy how much we don't know, like how the NHL is going to handle all this.
Yeah.
But either way, I guess we might as well wrap it up.
Yeah, that was a long talk.
Yeah. I don't know. I just confused. I might have talked myself out of sports for a bit there after going on a rant how they should come back. I'm like, you know what, maybe not. So you might have changed my mind on some things. Yeah, that's it for us or from us this week. I'm Tate Harris. That's Cody Wall. Follow us on Twitter at Tate Harris9 and follow Cody at Cody Wall 62. Lots of talking today. Not sure how it's going to come out, all the back and forth and changing mind stuff. We're ready to grow. If you got information for me of why players shouldn't play, send it to me. DM me. My DMs are open. I'm willing to learn and listen. I'm not going to argue. I'll listen. Yeah.
I mean, you'll argue, but you'll listen.
I'll listen, but I won't argue. It depends. I'll argue with you, Cody. And Cody's going to clip that Detroit thing, and we're going to see just how many people are just mad at me. All right. Have a good night, evening, morning, whatever time it is.